One of the most common fears you're going to experience as a beginner rider is the fear of dropping your bike. We're not talking about a glorious high side after powering out of a corner, throttle pinned. I'm talking about the embarrassing coming to a stoplight and forgetting to put your foot down and then just straight up dropping the thing for no good reason, often in front of an onslaught of judgmental commuters. These drops usually result in no real damage to your bike, but the emotional torment they cause is astronomical. And the fear for a new rider is completely rational. Motorcycles, even at their lightest, are still hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And if you're caught off guard or misjudge your balance, you might not have the reaction time or core strength to catch your bike before it tips over. This almost always happens during slow speed riding, where it takes a lot more effort to keep a bike balanced and upright. Of course, you can practice slow speed riding and get some reps in practicing getting on and off your bike smoothly to get a handle of the weight and start building that muscle memory. But really, the best thing you can do is just accept that dropping your bike is a very real possibility. But to understand it's not the end of the world, and there's no sense in letting the fear that you might drop your bike stop you from riding. Installing some frame sliders and engine guards can do a lot to give you peace of mind if you're afraid of an inevitable slow speed tip over, but rest assured, with skill, time, and patience, the fear of dropping your bike will be a distant memory. I will add as well that even as an experienced rider myself, I feel like I drop a bike at least once a year. Just not paying attention, just tips over in the garage. It is what it is. The best thing you can do is also practice your technique in picking it up. Remember to use your legs and not your back. New motorcyclists often have a fear of stalling their bike. While stalling as you pull out of your garage or while navigating a parking lot isn't much cause for concern, stalling your bike while in traffic can definitely be a source of anxiety. As a new rider, you might be very self-conscious, thinking that everyone's watching you, actively waiting for you to make a mistake. Stalling is a super easy little mistake that every rider makes, even experienced riders. I've ridden some of these new, leaned out Euro 5 Plus bikes, and to be honest, it's hard to not stall them. If you're distracted, daydreaming about what you're gonna have for dinner, or ruminating over the season finale of Temptation Island, you might release the clutch a little too quickly without giving the bike enough throttle, causing the engine to die unintentionally. To overcome this fear, just practice finding that friction zone where the clutch is released just enough for the bike to start moving, but not so much that it dies without more throttle input. Just release that clutch lever gradually and feel the bike start pulling forward. The good news is that this can be practiced anywhere, anytime, so you can get some reps in your driveway or a quiet parking lot without any pressure. People usually stall in traffic because they feel rushed, not wanting to hold up the cars behind them. But just don't panic, take a breath, and accelerate forward with intention, not as a knee-jerk reaction. And as well, remember, if you do stall your bike, just pull that clutch in, start the engine up, and try it again. Very soon, your stalling days will be behind you. For many new riders, the fear of cornering is very real and completely understandable. Leaning a motorcycle in a turn feels unnatural at first until you get some experience under your belt. Riding a motorcycle in a corner feels almost antithetical to your instincts. Leaning, counter-steering, awkwardly hanging your knee off the side because you're desperate to look cool like your favorite MotoGP rider, it's a lot to wrap your head around. As a new rider initiating a lean, you won't have that intrinsic trust in your tires yet, and you might feel you're going to lose traction and wash out. Your body might instinctively want to stay upright even when the bike needs to lean. That disconnect between feeling what's safe and what's actually correct can make cornering feel intimidating. Even if you have an understanding of the concepts, there's still the fear of being unsure of your entry speed or coming across gravel or other debris mid-corner. And the worst part is that approaching a corner with any fear or anxiety has a direct negative impact on your riding. Trying to complete a turn while anxious can lead to choppy throttle input, abrupt mid-turn braking, maybe you don't even know if you should be on the brakes or the gas given a current corner, and even target fixation, which all contributes to the risk of losing traction or running wide or colliding with an obstacle. So, not something you want to happen to you. So what can you do about this? Well, technique and training is everything. Be conscious of your entry speed. Look through the turn, be smooth with the throttle, push on the inside handlebar to initiate the turn, and lean with the bike. A lot of these mistakes can be mitigated simply by being conscious of your entry speed. If you're not overriding your limits, if you're going within the speed limits, you're probably not going to run wide. Just lean the bike, you'll make it through. When you're starting out, err on the side of caution and ride well within your limits. Focus on building your strong fundamentals and gradually progressing to cornering with high speeds and greater lean angle. Now, riding in traffic is one of the most intimidating parts of learning to ride a motorcycle. For new riders, it can feel overwhelming. There's a lot going on at once. Nissans changing lanes without signaling, pickup trucks tailgating you, huge blind spots from all the soccer mom SUVs, crazy pedestrians jaywalking, potholes with the diameter of the moon, and the constant need to scan your surroundings. That's a lot. Meanwhile, you still gotta manage your clutch, your throttle, your brakes, and you gotta balance the damn thing. When you first start out riding a motorcycle, being in traffic can almost feel like a foreign experience or like you're playing the most crazy high-risk game of Frogger. Unlike being in a car, you don't have the cushion of a metal cage around you, so different threats on the road feel very real and tangible. You can literally reach out and touch cars if you wanted to. I really don't recommend it. You'll be nervous about being too slow, stalling, or generally just not being seen. To get over the fear of riding in traffic, you can start by easing into it. Find quieter times and less stressful routes to take. Avoid big multi-lane suburban roads where there are people stopping, turning, entering, and exiting seemingly non-stop. As you get more comfortable riding around other cars, understand the ebb and flow of traffic, and you'll hone your situational awareness, and you'll work your way up to riding at busier times or in trafficked areas. Developing those defensive riding techniques and learning how to scan and predict potential hazards really is the key for success in riding in traffic. This can be a lot to handle when you're also focusing on actually operating your bike properly, so take things slow and avoid submerging yourself in the chaos of heavy traffic until you've actually got your riding skills down. And of course, one of the best things you can do in traffic is simply just get out of the way of the other cars. If you can filter up in the lanes, if you can just create a space cushion between you and the vehicles, that's the best thing to do. I hate riding when there's cars around me in all directions. It's very stressful. There are two types of new riders, the one who are afraid of riding at high speeds and those who are way too comfortable riding at high speeds despite their lack of experience. And while being overly anxious is going to inhibit your growth, being overly confident can be deadly. So approaching high speeds as a new rider definitely requires a balance of caution and confidence. Riding a motorcycle at high speeds in a straight line isn't particularly hard. When in motion, a motorcycle wants to stay upright. When you're traveling quickly, the consequences of a delayed reaction or improper technique can be way more severe. Riding fast takes a little bit of time to get used to. Initially, it feels like sensory overload. Everything's moving so quickly, the experience is so visceral with the wind at your chest and the landscape passing by quickly. It's why it's important to take your time and gradually work your way up to high-speed riding after your skills have gotten to a place where it doesn't feel so intimidating. The faster you're going, every element of your riding is going to be heightened. You'll need longer braking distances and greater brake inputs to stop effectively. You'll be more likely to go wide during a turn if your speeds are too high. The consequences of your action are exemplified when riding at higher speeds, so riding within your skill set is very important. Similar to getting comfortable in traffic, you can overcome your fear of riding fast by practicing during quieter times or when there's less people on the road. There's always the opportunity to explore advanced rider courses and track day riding too, which I highly recommend. It can allow you to practice different techniques at higher speeds on a closed course without the risk of other vehicles, obstacles, or flying off the edge of a cliff. Practically any motorcycle is going to feel faster than the average car, and being exposed to the elements makes it an electrifying experience. It's why we like riding. Even if it's scary at first, riding a motorcycle fast, safely, and using proper technique is one of the most addictive parts of riding. But just remember, it takes basically no IQ points to just open the throttle and go straight as fast as possible. So mind your speed and be careful. Riding in the rain certainly is a point of contention for new riders too. They hear about bigger bikes coming in with rain modes to prevent loss of traction under acceleration, and they think they're going to hydroplane over every puddle, or they think they're going to low side anytime the bike isn't entirely upright. And look, of course, riding in the rain does increase the rigors of riding a motorcycle. If you have choppy throttle inputs, aggressive braking, and intense lean angles, they certainly pose more of a risk on wet pavement than they do dry. But riding a motorcycle in the rain not only is completely doable, it's kind of a rite of passage for every rider. Anyone who rides will eventually get caught in the rain, and the more often than not that it happens, you just learn to deal with it. Once you trust your machine and your ability, the only real downside of riding in the rain is discomfort and maybe a little bit of lack of visibility. But keep a couple pieces of waterproof rain gear on your bike if the forecast is looking suspect, and you'll be good to go. Riding in the rain isn't a super dangerous endeavor that you might think it is. Modern motorcycle tires in good condition offer a lot of grip in wet conditions. Fun fact, I went to the Bridgestone S22 launch in Jerez in 2019, and I actually had the chance to drag knee in the wet on a BMW S1000RR. So a street-going tire that had enough water dispersion allowed me to drag a knee in the wet around a racetrack. They have way more grip than you think. So your traction may be reduced, but it's in no way entirely eliminated. You do have to be a lot smoother with your braking, acceleration, and lean angles, and you can keep safely within the limits of traction with your rubber, even on wet roads. A secondary concern that people have about riding in the rain are consequences of low visibility. It's going to be harder for you to see and harder for others to see you. A little Rain X on your visor goes a long way to increasing your ability to see in the rain, but I do recommend you just kind of squeegee them off with the fingertips of your gloves. High visibility rain gear is never a bad idea if you have a track record of being caught in the rain or you are a true ride or die 24/7 commuter. Be extra cautious of your riding habits and make sure to increase your follow distance and do your best to stay visible, and you'll find riding in the rain really isn't that much to worry about. Now look, without a doubt, one of the most persistent fears for new riders is the fear of crashing. Old moto boomers will say stuff like it's not about if you crash, it's about when, as if crashing is completely unavoidable. And look, there's no guarantees when you ride a motorcycle, but there's a ton of different things you can do as a rider to avoid a multitude of crash-causing scenarios. When you look at the statistics, many crashes involve unlicensed riders, young riders on leader bikes, riding at night, and riding after consuming drugs or alcohol and not wearing a helmet. So right there, you may have many clear ways you can reduce your risk of crashing. Be properly trained, ride an appropriate bike, don't ride beyond your limits, ride during the day, and don't ride after drinking. You're already way ahead of the curve. Even though you can be an expert at scanning the road and riding defensively, there's always the chance that some car is gonna do something stupid and cause a crash with the motorcycle. And in this case, wearing high-quality safety-rated gear is your best defense of serious injury during a crash. And to take that one step further, you can wear an airbag vest or use a Cardo system that has a crash detection tech that sends an alert and a GPS location to emergency contacts if a crash is detected. It is definitely healthy to be afraid of crashing your bike. That fear keeps you safe. But that doesn't mean you don't have to accept responsibility for all the ways you can mitigate potential risks and avoid putting yourself in danger. I very seldom see crashes that were genuine acts of God and the rider could do nothing to avoid it. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. I assume you're a beginner rider. That's sweet. I'm very happy for you. We've got hundreds of videos tailored to new riders in the back catalog, so why don't you go and check it out? There's always more stuff in the pipeline, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. It's free and it helps us out. Make sure you head over to the website, get entered for our giveaway motorcycles as well, and join on our Discord server. It's like a bike night that never ends. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you later. Fact: the Easter Bunny has roots in a pagan goddess of fertility named Oestre, who was known to have a magical egg-laying hare as her companion. Goodbye.
I'm like a bird, I wanna fly away. I don't know where my soul is. I don't know where my home is. Da 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 da. I'm like a bird, I wanna fly away. I don't know where my soul is. Oh, hey. You're still here. Man, this is awkward. You should, you should keep watching Yami Noob.